Imagine it's 1965 in Singapore. The country has just separated from Malaysia. People are hungry, battling opium addiction, and struggling to find work and shelter. Poverty is widespread, leading to crime and despair. Fast forward 57 years to today. Singapore is now the 5th safest and 4th least corrupt country globally. It's become Asia's 4th largest economy and a top business hub. How did this transformation happen? What has changed in Singapore over the past 50 to 55 years to turn it into such a prosperous and advanced nation? Let's explore the incredible journey of Singapore from poverty to economic powerhouse. We'll uncover the key factors that led to its remarkable rise and its position as one of the world's wealthiest nations. Singapore's development story is regarded as the best development story of the century. This country, which is only 0.25% of the size of India, is considered to be one of the 20 smallest countries in the world. But today, this country is at the top of the Index of Economic Freedom rankings. There's a certain appeal that makes this place the most suitable for dwelling and business. Today, Singapore has a very large financial industry, and the standard of living is very high. However, to understand how Singapore rose to become a hero from zero, one has to look back in time. The most influential trading company of the 19th century, the British East India Company, made the maritime region of Southeast Asia its trading route. Yes, this is the same East India Company that came to India for trade and then began to govern the land, ruling it for 200 years. Seeing this route became one of the most profitable routes for the East India Company. Because of this route, the East India Company started generating almost half of its revenue, making it very important for them to maintain this region. This is why a port was built on a small island in the region by British officer Thomas Stamford Raffles. This port was made tax-exempt and soon attracted travelers from all over the world. People from every corner of the world began to visit this port. Even though this place had become favorable for business, the living conditions of the people were not favorable. Due to a lack of proper rules and regulations, the condition of the people was very bad. During the Second World War, Malaya was invaded by Japan. It's important not to get confused. At that time, Malaysia and Singapore were the same entity, collectively referred to as Malaya after the Japanese attack. This place was completely ruined, and the British, who had profited greatly through trading, did not help Singapore in this crucial time. Because of this action by the British, there was hatred for them among the people. At this critical time, a brave leader named Lee Kuan Yew emerged. The people believed he was the hope for a better tomorrow and supported him. A political party was created called the People's Action Party, and Lee Kuan Yew became the Prime Minister of Malaya in 1959. However, due to ethnic and religious differences, Malaysia and Singapore parted ways on August 9, 1965. Since this separation, Singapore's condition worsened, and more than 80% of the population faced economic problems. As mentioned at the start of this video, there was no employment at all in this area. Violence, crime, and corruption were rampant. Seeing this, Lee Kuan Yew resolved to ensure that his people would come out of this crisis. He began to introduce many strict measures inside the country. Freedom of speech was initiated during Lee Kuan Yew's government. Severe penalties were imposed for offenses such as gang violence and corruption. Not only were drug dealers apprehended, but strict actions were also taken against those who became victims of drugs. With reference to the cleanliness of the country, new rules and laws were established. Despite the fact that some individuals considered these strict rules and laws as chains, all these measures were very significant for the bright future of the country. It did not take long to implement all these rules and laws. Positive results started to be seen among the people. the economic and political crises began to decline, but this was only a glimpse of what was to come. The rest of the crisis in Singapore was being managed fairly well, but the housing system required more attention. According to a survey in 1965, only 5% of the population owned a house. During that time, the majority of people were living in slum areas. Lee Kuan Yew took action, passing a law whereby the government could acquire people's land at a low price. Following this, the government started acquiring land in large quantities and constructing low-cost houses. Another law was passed to make it easy for the general public to buy these houses. Under this law, 25% of people's salaries were deposited in the government's Provident Fund, with an additional 25% contribution from the government, providing a 50% savings fund, making it very easy for people to buy a house. After addressing housing, Lee Kuan Yew tackled the issue of employment. Foreign companies were invited for business investment, adopting a no-tax policy whereby no tax was charged on any foreign firm in the initial 10 years. After the implementation of this profitable policy, big companies started investing in Singapore, creating numerous employment opportunities. Thus, in a country where there was no employment, the employment ratio turned around completely. This was the biggest change for Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew was aware that more jobs could lead to corruption. To prevent this, he offered government employees better pay packages to minimize corruption. If corruption cases were found, severe punishments were given. Today, we can see the positive impact of these efforts. Singapore is ranked 4th among the least corrupt countries in the world. Besides this, Lee Kuan Yew also paid attention to every sector useful for the country's future. He recognized that children are the future of the country, and their overall development is crucial. Therefore, he constructed large schools and colleges to educate students. Because of these excellent efforts, Singapore's development rate increased rapidly, as evidenced by its current situation. The manner in which Lee Kuan Yew pulled Singapore out of the abyss of destruction and placed it on the pedestal of success is nothing short of a miracle. This makes him one of the greatest leaders in history. By the way, what was your reaction when you learned about Singapore's development story? Tell us by leaving a comment. I sincerely appreciate you sharing your time. Thanks for watching.